Feds are so deep and involved in this that Diddy just might be called up on that Tupac shit.
So we don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
27 years of silence just exploded. Keefe D sits in a federal cell, his immunity deal worthless, while Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, drops a nuclear bomb. Diddy has footage of Tupac's final moments. Not rumors, not speculation. Actual evidence that could destroy an empire built on lies and blood money. While families mourned, moguls profited. While justice waited, secrets multiplied. But cornered animals talk, and Keefe D knows who paid him, who protected him, and who has the most to lose. The streets remember everything. Federal prosecutors forget nothing. 27 years of waiting just became ground zero for hip-hop's biggest reckoning.
But he couldn't survive a second. Rap star Tupac Shakur last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25. Here's NBC.
27 years. Count them. 27 years of sleeping at night while knowing you got away with something. 27 years of freedom while families mourned. 27 years of thinking you outsmarted everyone. But all good things come to an end. And for Dwayne Keith Davis, Keefe D to his friends, that end came with federal handcuffs and a one-way ticket to a concrete cell.
The man tied to the 1996 Tupac Shakur, already behind bars, was sent.
I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Keefe D walked around for nearly 3 decades believing he had a golden ticket. He thought his federal agreement was some magical shield that would protect him forever. Wrong. Dead wrong.
Nope, we're going to put it down. I know. Hang on. Put that down for a second, all right? You got nothing on you, right? Hooks.
You should have seen his face when it really hit. I'm an American citizen, he kept saying. Like citizenship was going to save him from consequences. I shouldn't be treated like I'm guilty. But here's the thing, when you spend years bragging on podcasts and writing tell-all books, you're not innocent anymore. You're evidence. The federal agents weren't playing games. They let Keefe D talk and talk and talk until he gave them everything they needed to lock him up. His own mouth became his own worst enemy. Every interview, every boast, every "I was there" story became another nail in his coffin. But this is really interesting. Keefe D's arrest isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. When the street legends get cornered by federal charges, they suddenly remember details they forgot for decades. They remember who paid them. They remember who protected them. They remember who has the most to lose. And right now, Keefe D is sitting in that cell probably thinking about all the powerful people who benefited from his silence. All the moguls who built empires while he kept his mouth shut. All the celebrities who slept peacefully while he carried their secrets. 27 years of waiting is over. 27 years of protection just evaporated. And everyone who thought that they were safe behind lawyers and money and influence is about to learn a hard lesson. Federal prosecutors don't care about your status. They care about evidence. And Keefe D just became their star witness, whether he likes it or not. The real game is just starting.
The feds are so deep and involved in this that Diddy just might be called up on that Tupac shit.
Introducing Gene Deal. He's not some internet blogger with conspiracy theories. He's not some wannabe street reporter chasing clicks. Gene Deal is the bodyguard who stood between Diddy and serious trouble, the man who literally took a hit meant for his boss, the insider who knows exactly how the game operates when the cameras stop rolling. And Gene just dropped a revelation that changes everything. Keefe D once saved Diddy's life. Let that sink in. Picture the scene, House of Blues, tension in the air, Diddy and Gene outnumbered and vulnerable. Then Keefe D rolls up with 15 to 20 guys, creating instant muscle and making rivals think twice about making moves.
We didn't have that many people with us. But then Keefe D shows up and he got like 15 or 20 guys with him. So they all around us.
In the street world, when someone saves your life, you owe them everything. Blood debt, loyalty forever, that's the code. But Gene reveals something ugly. Diddy was using Keefe D strategically, not personally. He brought him close, gave him access and tickets, not out of friendship, but to keep rival factions off his back. Pure calculation disguised as brotherhood. Fast forward to today. Keefe D is locked up, probably expecting his old associate to throw him a lifeline, send some money or lawyers, make some calls, show some loyalty. But Gene explains the brutal truth. Diddy can't help because any assistance looks like an admission of involvement.
Puff can't do that. Puff can't do that based on what has been said and what has been done in the media. If he does that, it seemed like he did contribute to the Tupac.
Think about that betrayal for a second. Keefe D risked everything for Diddy, provided protection when needed, kept secrets for decades. But when federal investigations start circling and billions of dollars are at stake, street loyalty becomes street fiction. The code that says you always repay life's debts, that evaporates when your legacy survival is on the line. Gene doesn't sugarcoat Diddy's character. The man is selfish. When your empire, your reputation, and your freedom hang in the balance, even the most sacred bonds become expendable. Every mogul talks about loyalty until federal prosecutors start knocking on doors. What makes Gene's words so powerful is simple. He was there. He witnessed how alliances were formed. He saw how protection worked. And he watched how quickly loyalty disappears when consequences become real. His testimony carries the weight of truth because he's protected these secrets for years and now watches them destroy the people he once served. And why did justice take 27 years? It's simple. Incompetence, ego, and federal agents who thought they were smarter than everyone else. Greg Kading, the investigator who supposedly cracked the case, made one of the stupidest moves in law enforcement history. He offered Keefe D an immunity deal without telling Las Vegas police.
Why would you offer Keefe D a proffer immunity deal? I mean, there's no reason really for it. You probably would have to do that as a last effort.
Tupac's incident happened in Vegas. Vegas jurisdiction, Vegas case. But Kading decides he's going to play federal superhero and cut his own deal with the prime suspect. And this is where it gets absolutely insane. He calls Vegas after the facts and says, "Hey, we gave your suspect immunity. You can talk to him, but nothing he says can be used in court." Bobby Ladd from Compton PD put it perfectly. I would go crazy. Any seasoned detective would lose their mind. Imagine working a case for years, following leads, building evidence, and suddenly some federal hotshot destroys your entire investigation with one reckless decision. But this is what really happened. Kading wasn't doing this for justice. Gene Deal calls him out directly. "You did it for your two pockets," Gene says. "You got a book deal. You got a movie deal. You didn't do it for Tupac." Think about that. While families suffered, while fans demanded answers, investigators were building careers off the tragedy. They turned pain into profit, mysteries into manuscripts. The case became a hustle, and justice became secondary to book sales.
18B lawyer, and that's just a government lawyer, the free lawyer that they give to people, will eat Greg Kading up on the stand.
Tupac despised cops, and everyone knew it. He had previous confrontations with law enforcement. His family had issues with police. So how are you going to claim you made bad deals for Tupac when Tupac despised everything you represented? The immunity deal wasn't about solving crimes. It was about creating content. Kading knew he needed dramatic confessions for his book. He needed explosive revelations for his movie. So he offered Keefe D protection in exchange for stories. But federal prosecutors don't care about book deals. They care about convictions. And now they're using every word Keefe D said outside that immunity agreement to build their case. Every podcast interview, every book confession, every bragging moment became evidence. 27 years of delayed justice because one investigator wanted to be famous. That's the real tragedy here. Forget everything you know about East Coast versus West Coast. Forget the music rivalries and diss tracks and award show drama. That was theater. That was distraction. That was smoke designed to hide the real war happening behind the scenes.
Because it happens out of nothing. It just goes, everybody just be screaming and acting, and I get uncomfortable. And it's like
Gene Deal drops the truth that changes everything. Big and Pac were eliminated because they wanted rap to be where it's at right now. They wanted to control it in a way that revolutionaries would never let them control. Let that sink in. Tupac wasn't just a rapper, he was a revolutionary. He spoke about problems, government corruption, social justice. He educated people through his music. He inspired movements. And that made him dangerous to people who profit from keeping communities divided and distracted. Biggie wasn't the target, he was collateral damage. Gene reveals that Biggie caught a hit that wasn't meant for him. The real target might have been Diddy himself, but Gene blocked that first attempt. Think about that. Biggie passed because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But here's what Gene understands that most people miss. Tupac and Biggie were friends. They respected each other. Once they worked out their differences, which they eventually would have, rap would have never been the same. Two powerful voices united would have created something the industry couldn't control. Tupac's own words prove this point. He talked about helping his people, about systematic change, about unity.
But we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help because we have been here. We have been a good friend.
The message terrified certain people. Tupac wasn't just entertaining, he was educating. He wasn't just performing, he was planning. And educated communities don't stay quiet when they're being exploited. The East Coast versus West Coast narrative was manufactured to distract from the real motives. While fans argued about which coast was better, power players were eliminating voices that threatened their control. While media focused on beef and drama, revolutionaries were being silenced permanently. Gene makes it clear they wouldn't have had that control if Tupac and Biggie had lived. Two minds that powerful working together would have changed the entire trajectory of hip-hop culture. Instead of music that glorifies violence and materialism, we might have had music that inspired revolution and social change. That's why they had to go. Not because of rap beef, because of real power. Here's where everything gets absolutely wild. Keefe D literally wrote his own conviction, not in some secret confession to police, not in some backdoor deal with prosecutors, in a published book that anyone could buy on Amazon. The man documented his own involvement and sold it to the world. Listen to his exact words. I stand firm on the point that Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of those individuals didn't have any business putting their hands on my beloved nephew, Baby Lane. Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their situation. He literally admitted to federal retaliation in black and white. But it gets worse. Back in 1997, street informants were whispering that Diddy had hired Southside Crips to handle the Tupac and Suge problem. They said someone got paid serious money. We're talking millions. To make that situation disappear. Fast forward decades later, and Keefe D confirms exactly what those informants reported. Same story, same details, same $1 million arrangement. His book Confession matched federal intelligence from 27 years earlier. That's not coincidence, that's evidence. Here's the trap Keefe D fell into. Ego. He thought his immunity deal was permanent protection. So he started bragging. Podcast, interviews, book tours. Every public appearance became another confession. Every story became more evidence. Greg Kading explains the legal reality. Once Keefe D stepped outside that law enforcement environment, everything was fair game. Think about
the word immunity never ever once came up in any discussion that we had with Keefe D or that we had with his attorney. That word was never discussed because it was always understood that he had self-incrimination protection during our interviews. And that was it. And that all that was his own Fifth Amendment type of protection. And that's it. It's not immunity. It was very clear that we were going to take the information that he provided and use that to further our case and further our investigation. And he was absolutely aware of the fact that if other information outside of his confession pointed back at him, that we would use that. So there was never, ever any indication whatsoever that he had immunity.
Think about the irony. Keefe D spent years protected by silence, then destroyed himself with words. His own mouth became the prosecution's star witness. Every boast about street credibility became another charge. Every claim about immunity became more evidence of guilt. And here's what should terrify everyone connected to this situation. Keefe D didn't operate alone. $1 million arrangements require $1 million backers. Street operations need corporate protection. Federal prosecutors know this, and they're pressing Keefe D so hard that sources report he's getting physically pressured in jail. When street legends face life sentences, they suddenly remember details they forgot for decades. Bank accounts, meeting locations, phone conversations, and right now, Keefe D is probably thinking about everyone who benefited from his silence while he protected their secrets. The million-dollar question: who paid and what evidence proves it? Now, here's where Gene Deal drops the bombshell that could change everything: the footage. Not rumors about footage, not theories about missing evidence, actual video documentation that allegedly shows Tupac's final moments. And according to Gene, Diddy has it.
The feds are so deep and involved in this that Diddy just might be called up on that Tupac shit.
Let that sink in for a moment. While families mourned, while fans demanded answers, while federal investigators chased cold leads for decades, the actual evidence might have been sitting in someone's private vault this entire time. Gene doesn't mince words about what federal prosecutors need. They know in order to have a case, they've got to come up with some kind of evidence. And they got to have Keefe D say and point to some kind of evidence that Diddy put out the arrangement on Tupac. Why would someone hold on to footage that incriminating? Insurance, leverage, protection. In the world of power players and street code, dangerous evidence becomes valuable currency. You keep it safe in case you need to protect yourself or destroy someone else. But here's where the game changes. Federal investigators aren't just probing street corners anymore. They're shaking down every backdoor contact, every private vault, every security box deposit. They're looking for that one piece of evidence that connects corporate money to street operations. Gene reveals the stakes. If this footage exists and surfaces, it could decapitate an empire in a single frame. One video clip could destroy decades of denials, corporate narratives, and carefully constructed public images. And here's what makes this search so intense. Keefe D is getting pressured hard. Sources report he's been physically confronted in jail. Someone wants him to stay quiet very badly. But federal protection programs exist for witnesses with valuable information. The pressure must be incredible. Keefe D knows that talking could save his life, but destroy powerful people. Staying quiet might protect certain moguls, but guarantee his own conviction. Federal agents are reportedly combing through private collections, security footage, personal archives. They're not just looking for documents, they're hunting for visual proof. In an era where everything gets recorded, someone somewhere captured something. Gene Deal's revelation about elimination footage isn't speculation. It's an insider warning. The evidence exists. The question is whether federal prosecutors can find it before it disappears forever. Because once that footage surfaces, every denial, every alibi, every corporate narrative crumbles instantly. The receipts are coming, and they're on video. When Tupac's own brother speaks, everyone should listen. This isn't some distant observer or media personality chasing headlines. This is family. This is blood. This is someone who lived with the pain of unanswered questions for 27 long years. And now he's demanding accountability from everyone involved.
This individual mentioned dude's name. Okay? Law enforcement has a job to do.
He's watched Keefe D give interviews and noticed something crucial. Names are being mentioned. Accomplices are being identified. Details are being revealed. But here's his burning question. If law enforcement is using Keefe D's statements to build indictments, why is only one person facing charges? Listen to his exact words. He mentioned certain people that may be accomplices. So at this point in the game, someone's making someone accountable. Now, are they going to make everyone that he's talking about accountable? That's the million-dollar question that should make certain moguls lose sleep at night. If Keefe D is naming names, describing arrangements, detailing payments, why is he the only one in handcuffs? What about the people who allegedly funded the operation? What about the people who allegedly protected the participants? What about the people who allegedly benefited from the outcome? Tupac's brother isn't buying selective justice. He wants complete accountability. But here's what makes his position so powerful. He's not making accusations, he's asking questions. Legal, logical, necessary questions that exposes the gaps in the current investigation. If federal prosecutors have evidence connecting multiple people to this situation, why aren't multiple people facing consequences? 27 years later, Tupac's brother is still fighting for the complete truth. His message to law enforcement is crystal clear. Do your job completely. Don't pick and choose who faces consequences based on wealth, status, or connections. If evidence exists connecting multiple accomplices, then multiple accomplices should face charges. The family has waited 27 years for justice. They're not settling for partial accountability now. Every name Keefe D mentions, every detail he provides, every accomplice he identifies, they all need to face the same federal scrutiny.